Okay, I'm back again with my new video, and this is about end-to-end supply chain. As I told you in my previous video that I will go over end-to-end supply chain process and model in my future videos, because many people have asked me to go over end-to-end supply chain process and explain how does it work. So I made this flow chart to help you guys understand how the product flows. So this is basically a closed loop process. It starts with the customer and end to the customer. Start with the customer with the forecast from customer, and when the product is shipped to the customer, that ends the process. Okay, so in this end-to-end supply chain, I'm considering build to forecast model. In the build to forecast model, we receive the forecast from customer and we make the products based on the forecast, and we put the products on the warehouse or in the finished good location, so that when the actual order comes from the customer, the product gets shipped. Okay, so the triggering point for build plan is the forecast. Okay, that you have to remember. So customer, any end customer can be your customer. For example, Boeing, IBM, Cisco, any end customer. Okay, and they order engine or interior for their aircraft, and they manufacture through a third party, and that is called manufacturer. And also IBM could manufacture their product that goes into the finished product. For example, battery, charger, for example, drives, and those kind of thing. Okay, so what happens is they provide the forecast for that specific product to the manufacturer. Okay, and we assume here the manufacturer has all the department here. Okay, but they don't actually manufacture by themselves. They manufacture through the third party, which could be located in China, Mexico, India. So they are the basically real manufacturer of those products, but the brand name is the manufacturer one. So they supply the product to end customer with their brand name. Okay, but actually they manufacture through a third party. Alternatively, they can also manufacture by themselves, so nothing will change. So instead of manufacturer 2, these all two boxes, these all two layers will be just manufacturer 1. Okay, so I will go over each and every step here. So once we receive the forecast from customer, it goes to the sales and accounts team, and they review the forecast. Okay, and they look at the forecast to make sure everything is good. All the products are being forecasted. There's no issues there. There's no error there. Okay, nothing is missing. All those kind of things. Okay, they evaluate it, and then they're confident, then pass on the forecast to the demand planning. Okay, and they review the forecast again, and they compare with the historical numbers and the new products, old products, all those kind of things. So they do their own checking mechanism. Okay, they present the demand plan in the S&OP review. Okay, and that is based on the forecast they receive from the accounts team. In some cases, they need to consolidate the forecast, because the same products, can go to multiple customer. Okay, so each customer can provide the forecast, and demand plan has to merge the forecast and make a single forecast. That makes things easier for material and supply chain to plan. Okay, so consolidation can happen at this stage, and S&OP review, they present for next 12 to 18 months rolling forecast on the weekly or the monthly snapshot or horizon. Okay, and then they might load it into the ERP system. Okay, if they don't have any ERP system, they can directly provide the forecast to the materials and the supply team. So once the materials and supply chain team receives the forecast, they do the inventory planning, they do the capacity planning, they do the MPS planning, and all those kind of things. Okay, so they evaluate the forecast and see how much inventory they have, how much safety stock they need to plan, how much min-max they need to plan, how much is the capacity per week, per month. Okay, they need to bump up the capacity, lower the capacity, all those kind of things. So they make their supply plan to make sure they're optimizing the available resources to support the demand plan. Okay, so the end product of this phase is the build plan and MPS. So they generate the MPS. Okay, and the MPS goes through the manufacturing. Okay, so at the same time MPS can would also go to the procurement. Okay, so that they can run the MRP and see how the down level components would be needed, how much would be needed at level 2, level 3 and level 4. Okay, at the component level requirement, I mean. So once the MRP is run, they know what components at the down level would be needed, and they can place the POs to the end supplier. Okay, and the end supplier would provide the commits to the procurement, and they will evaluate the commits as well to see if that makes sense for them, and then supplier would ship the product to the manufacturer. Okay, meaning that's located in China, Mexico. Okay, manufacturer too, a real manufacturer. So they receive it, they evaluate it, the receiving will evaluate the product is good, there's no issues there. Okay, everything is good, and when the manufacturing would need to make those products, they would pull it from the receiving warehouse, and based on the MPS they would manufacture the end product depending on the manufacturing schedule and also the availability of the raw material, right? And then they provide the future build schedule to the inventory planning and capacity planning team, I mean the materials team, and they will evaluate the build schedule to see if we are supporting customer demand on time, if there are any issues there. If there are any issues, then they will work with the manufacturing to expedite the build schedule. They might tell you that, oh, we are short of the part from the supplier, then that will trigger the procurement team to expedite the product from the supplier. Okay, the component from the supplier. All those kind of things will happen. So if materials team is confident and okay with the build schedule, then those additional activities won't be needed, or they need to allocate the material. So all this happen at this stage when we look at the build schedule. Okay, so when the actual manufacturing happens, they make the products and ship it to the shipping, and the shipping based on the customer actual request date or their own promise date, they ship it directly to the customer. So that's end the whole process. Okay, start with the customer with forecast and ends with the customer when they receive the product. So this might look simple to you, but this is not very simple. Okay, so you need to have some control points and process improvement initiative to make sure that your supply chain is working smoothly. Okay, and you have less number of issues and avoiding any issues that might happen in the future. Okay, so I will go over each and every control point to make sure you understand it and make sure it's valid for your business as well. Okay, the very first thing, forecast validation. So before I go further, I will tell you that these control points are very common regardless of which manufacturing industry you are in. Okay, so most of these points, if not all, should be valid for your supply chain as well. If you want to make your supply chain very aggressive and very responsive. Okay, forecast validation. So once you receive the forecast for the customer, that these people have to validate the forecast to make sure there is no issue in the forecast from the customer, no missing data, no duplication. All the parts are being forecasted, which new products are replacing the obsolete parts. So we need to make sure that the transition forecast is also there. All those kind of things they need to evaluate. So once they're okay, and this demand planning, as I told you, will evaluate the forecast further. And beside that, they have their forecast accuracy matrix as well. It's called C2. So that would tell them how good we are doing in terms of forecasting based on the historical numbers. Okay, so they can use different metrics, bias, mean absolute deviation, MAPE, mean absolute percent error, things like that, depending on the business they are in. So they can use more than one forecast accuracy matrix, or any metric that they think that is more sensible for their business operation. Okay, but that is very critical to have the forecast accuracy metric, because without that you won't know how good these people and the customer is doing the forecasting. Okay, so in some cases demand planning also does their historical forecast using time series analysis, a statistical forecast. So they have their technical forecast as well, and they can compare it with the forecast that they receive from the sales team, and when they see the gap, these guys need to work together to make sure the numbers that we provide to the materials team make more sense. Okay, so if we need to bump down the number, bump up the number, they need to happen with consensus between those two people based on the historical statistical forecast and the actual forecast from the customer. Okay, and the C3 is the MPS validation. So once you generate the MPS, you need to make sure that your MPS is good, there is no issues there, MPS is stable. For example, if your MPS says 5,000, we need to build a given product in next month, but the previous week your MPS said instead of 5,000 you need to build 2,000 on the next month, and in the next week they give you another number, 7,000 for the next month. So these fluctuation in the MPS, can make things more worse. Okay, can mess up the inventory planning and the procurement planning. So you need to make sure your MPS is stable, consistent, and the less fluctuation in your MPS. Okay, so all these kind of things need to happen at this stage in the MPS validation. So if your MPS is less stable, more fluctuation, then you need to see why that is happening. Is the forecast is not good, or your safety stock we need to bump up, or materials planning and inventory stocking policy that I'll talk in the next stage is not being done properly. You need to evaluate here. Okay, without this control point, you will be messing up your supply chain. Okay, and then you have the number 4, C4, inventory projection. Okay, this is a leading indicator that tells you based on your forecast, based on your MPS, based on your WIP level, or based on your raw material as well, that tells you in the future period how much inventory you will have in your warehouse, in your company, in your factory. Okay, so that will give you the projection, for example, for the next quarter or this quarter, whatever the period you are using for your projection. Okay, so that for example, if you are using quarterly inventory projection, so by the end of this quarter, this will tell how much inventory you would end up at the end of the quarter. So that's a leading indicator. Okay, so if that inventory projection number says a very high inventory, so this means that something is not working good. Okay, then you have to evaluate the forecast is messed up. If we are over planning at the MPS level, our safety stock is very high, our inventory stocking policies is not aligned with the forecast, is not aligned with the MPS, those kind of things. So that would tell you in advance, so you can proactively work on, rather than when the actual a quarter end comes in, so you will just get a surprise. This much inventory we already have. So instead of that, you try to plan ahead based on inventory projection. And C5, same thing, E&O projection. So the E&O projection, instead of just the inventory, it tells you the projection for obsolete parts or excess inventory. Okay, so there's some. This is very critical for those businesses that deal with those products that have short product life cycle. Okay, so product life cycle is a big deal for them. For example, in a high-tech business, products have a very short life cycle. So you need to be very careful when we do the inventory planning. We need to make sure that E&O projection we do on a regular basis to see at the end of the quarter or at the end of the period how much we will be ending up with obsolete inventory or excess inventory. So that can give you a signal and you can plan ahead. So if obsolescence inventory is projecting very high at the end of the quarter, you can still take the action to bump down your MPS to see why forecast is too high on those products, and negotiation needs to happen between sales team and a customer, between demand planning and sales team, all those kind of things. They can bump down the numbers according to the situation. Okay, this way you are putting less risk when you do the MPS, and your obsolescence number can be well managed. Okay, so number 6, C6, the MRP validation. So once the MPS is received at a procurement, they do the MRP. You have to do the MRP validation check as well to make sure your system is giving you the right number. Okay, and do some math to do the manual validation, or if you have already developed some simulation in Excel. Mostly I do in Excel. So that can help you reconcile your number that you do using your math with the ERP system that's giving you them from the MRP, right? For example, at level 2 product X, okay, component X, using your BOM saying that you would need 500, okay, and your MRP is saying 490 or 495, so it's very close, so meaning that your system is working good. But if your manual calculation, math calculation using your BOM, your simulation Excel says 500 would be needed for next month, but your MRP, actual MRP from the ERP system that you generated is telling you 200. So that's a big gap, so meaning something is not right. Either your calculation is messed up or the system is not running the right MRP. Okay, then you have to investigate why this is happening. Okay, maybe the BOM setup is wrong in the system, or maybe a parameter in your ERP system is wrong, or maybe your system is not considering the stock that you have. Anything can happen. Okay, so that's a validation point needed at that point to make sure things are working okay. And when you place the actual POs to supplier and supplier provide the commit, then you have to have a reconciliation check as well to make sure the commits are good. Supplier is not missing any commits. Supplier is providing the commit based on the lead time they have already committed to the manufacturer. Okay, so if there is a gap between commits and the actual lead time that we already have an agreement with the supplier, and the negotiation needs to happen between those two guys. Okay, so those kind of things needs to happen. Okay, that will give you control at this stage rather than at the later stage. Okay, at this stage you can still work with the supplier before they actually supply the product to you. You can still negotiate with them and influence them to improve their schedule. Okay, so these are all control points that you need to have in your system to make sure your supply chain is working. Based on my previous experiences, I have noticed in some companies top management does not put the required focus that they need to put. So that's why sometimes the supply chain struggle, and we time to time we see that products stock outs, we see that inventory level is too high, and we are not able to support additional customer orders, inventory stocking policy is not aligned, those kind of things. So strong management direction is needed to make sure that control points is being followed and properly implemented, and that would really help you to increase your leverage on your supply chain, to make sure your supply chain is very smooth and responsive. Okay, and besides that, you need to also have process improvement initiative. Okay, so very first thing is inventory classification. So if you are in the manufacturing industry, you will see that your actual finished good or SKU can reach to 1,000 and 1,000 and 1,000. Okay, so it's not possible to focus each and every SKU. Okay, so we can do the ABC inventory classification here based on Pareto analysis, 80-20 rule, that tells you 20% of the items are more critical and we need to focus them more. Okay, so we classify it into A, and the rest of them we classify into B and C based on the criticality, based on the revenue volume, based on the supplier lead time, based on the stock out, those kind of any criteria that you think is more applicable to your business you can use to classify your inventory. That gives you more leverage when you do the actual safety stock planning, stocking policies, inventory planning, all those kind of things. Okay, that's very, very critical. So next is the stocking policies. So once you have divided your inventory, your SKU into A, B, C, and D, okay, then according to that you do the stocking policies. So item A, okay, is very critical. You need to set a very high level of customer service level on those, because you cannot afford to have stock outs on those products. Okay, so based on your classification you can set different customer service level when you do the safety stock planning. Okay, all depends on you. Okay, so if you think that min-max works better for some products, you can do that. And also Kanban, if you think Kanban on some products it make more sense, you can do Kanban. The bottom line is proper inventory stocking policies needs to happen. Okay, there is no alternative. Okay, so you need to make sure whether you are doing safety stock, min-max, or Kanban, or whatever, right? But you should spend time to make sure that your stocking policies make more sense to your business. Okay, and then the third is the Six Sigma projects. Six Sigma project is basically a generic improvement projects, so that can apply anywhere. For example, if you are facing a forecast inaccuracies, inconsistency, then it could be a good Six Sigma project to evaluate why that is happening. Because from the customer, because of some loopholes here, because things are not being followed very well. So Six Sigma projects can evaluate, it can identify the real cause and can provide you the resolution, the proper resolution. Okay, and same thing with the lean manufacturing. Number 4, lean manufacturing projects together with Six Sigma projects can be a very good tool for you to improve your business. So in the lean manufacturing, you can use lean manufacturing tools, for example 5S. Okay, and you can also use the value stream to see if there are any non-value added time we can remove from your system to shorten your total lead time to your customer. Okay, that will save your inventory dollar, and that will improve your relation with the customer. Okay, and get more business from them. So those kind of improvement thing, lean manufacturing tools you can use to further strengthen your supply chain. The number 5 is the SKU management. So you deal with thousands and thousands of SKU, right? So in some cases, the products are very generic. So instead of having more than 2 different SKUs, you can combine to one SKU. So you can convince your customer, telling that, okay, we are shipping this product A, customer XYZ, right? So you can convince your customer, so we can ship the same product to you rather than create a new SKU for you. Just change the label, okay, that's for you, and tell them that will add more flexibility to you. Okay, we can be more flexible on those. We can provide those stuff in a very shortly time because we're already manufacturing for the customers, right? So those kind of things. So customer might agree on you, or say, because they will think that will go in their favor as well, right? They will get the products in short amount of time with more quality. Whenever they need more product, they can still get it because we'll have in our warehouse, we will be making those products for the customer. So add more flexibility. So this is just one idea how you can attack the SKU, number of SKU. The advantage would be, one, you will need to spend less time on managing the SKU. Second, your total inventory dollar will go down, because let's suppose if you're dealing in 5 SKU, okay, instead of 5, now you're dealing 15 SKU. Okay, so when the SKU goes up, you have to carry inventory at each SKU level, okay, or manage your inventory at each SKU level. So at 15 SKU, you will end up with higher inventory compared to 5 SKU. Okay, the less number of SKU will help you reduce your total inventory dollars. At the same time, that help you make your supply chain more responsive, because managing less number of SKU would be easier to plan, would be easier to manage at the inventory level, would be easier to manage your capacity, and so on, right? I'm not saying that you can cut your business to your customer, no, but whenever you think you can you can be able to reduce the SKU without affecting revenue to your customer, you should go for it. Okay, and also, apart from control point and the process improvement, you must have some performance indicator that tells you how good your supply chain is performing, right? For example, on-time delivery can tell you how good you shipping your products on time to your customer. Okay, so that gives you the tracking mechanism. And second is the inventory turns. Inventory turns will tell you how much number of days of stock you have. Okay, so higher the inventory turn, the less number of days of stock you will have. That will give you less flexibility and can put you at risk of stock outs, right? So too high inventory turns is also not good. Too low inventory turns is also not good, because if your inventory turns is too low, meaning that you have now more number of days of stock, so that will end up more inventory dollar at the end of the quarter, right? So you have to create a balance between the two. Okay, find out the optimal points that can give you the best results. Okay, so customer return index, so that tells you about your quality. If customer returns are increasing with time, this means something is wrong with your quality checkpoint, something is wrong with your products. Okay, so you need to improve your quality checkpoints, you need to improve your manufacturing. Okay, meaning some activities needs to happen to make sure your customer returns is declining. Okay, is damaging your reputation. A customer in some point of time might move to the new supplier because they cannot afford to have the bad products. Okay, so that's very important. Now fourth, and forecast accuracy. So you need to keep improving your forecast accuracy, because forecast accuracy is the number one driver of your business, because that drives your MPS, that drives your MRP, that drives your build schedule. If forecast is messed up, it will mess up everything. You will have too much of inventory, but you won't be able to support customer because your inventory is not aligned with what is needed. So you need to spend time to make sure your forecast accuracy is improving with time. Okay, but at the same time, proper or good stocking policies can offset the effect of bad forecast accuracy to some extent. Okay, so meaning that if your forecast accuracy consistently is not improving, then you can increase your safety stock, you can revise your safety stock level, you can revise your inventory classification, min-max level. So that would give you some control when you see that your forecast accuracy is not improving. Okay, so those kind of things, but to some extent, not 100% replacement of the bad forecast. Okay. And the order fill rate. So order fill rate is also important. That tells you how good you are filling your customer orders in a given period of time. Okay, so all these performance indicators are very important. It could be more, okay, depending on the business and supply chain and the business model you have. But at least you need to have these performance indicators that tell you how good you are performing. Okay, so that's all for build to forecast model. Okay, like I told you, the control point, process improvement, these are the real things that help you reduce your pain, reduce your issues with the supply chain. This will help you to make your supply chain a very strong supply chain, very responsive supply chain. At the end of the day, it will help build a reputation with your customer, and it will help you get more businesses because you are providing the products right on time and with quality, okay, with the less amount of lead time. So besides having the regular processes, you need to make sure you have control points there are properly being followed. Process improvement initiative, you have it there properly followed. Okay, and performance indicators telling you that your supply chain is performing good. If the performance indicator tells you they are not improving, then what does it mean? It means that your control point somewhere is not working properly. Process improvement initiative, okay, are not being followed properly. So need to review those control points. Okay, need to review those improvement initiative. Okay. Okay, maybe you can add up one Six Sigma projects that can help you improve any performances that is showing a very bad performance. Okay, I'm just giving you an idea. So the bottom line is these process improvement and control points are basically running your business smoothly. Okay, don't take it very lightly. Okay, so let's move on to the end-to-end supply chain for build-to-order model. Okay, end-to-end supply chain, build-to-order model. Everything is similar to build-to-forecast model, except you don't make your products ahead of time. You don't make your product based on forecast. But what you do, you make the products based on when you receive real orders from the customer. Okay, but the forecast will still be used to drive the material and plan the capacity. Okay, so forecast will flow the same steps: sales account stream, forecast review, demand planning, material stream, and the forecast will be used to drive the MRP. That will tell you how much level 2, level 3 or down level component would be needed, and then you place the POs to your supplier, you check the commits, supplier ship the components to the receiving and the manufacturer, and then it goes to the manufacturing. But they don't start the manufacturing unless they receive the actual PO from the customer. So the actual POs from the customer, okay, goes to the order entry, they load into ERP system, and material team would know from the backlog report about the customer orders and the customer request date and the product, and then you, based on that, you will develop your build plan or MPS schedule and send it to the manufacturing, and then they will see what could be the best commit date based on their availability of the components and based on the capacity, and they will provide the build schedule to here. And same thing would happen here. The materials team evaluate build schedule. If there is some issue, they will let manufacturing know, and if they think they need to improve the build schedule, then negotiation needs to happen between those two people. And sometime allocation is needed because the build schedule is not enough to support all the customer, and the allocation would be needed. So those kind of discussions happen at this stage. Okay, and then the manufacturer of the product, quality checkpoint here to make sure the product is good. It goes to the shipping and then it goes to the end customer. Same control point, same process improvement, same performance indicator. Okay, need to make sure that they are being properly followed, and that will help you. That will help your supply chain to run smoothly and make it more responsive. Okay, that's all about build to order model. Let's move to another model that we call it the retail. Okay, so in the retail end-to-end supply chain, all the processes and steps exactly similar to build to order or build to forecast model. The only difference is, since you are not shipping your product directly to the customer, you're shipping your product to the market, to the consumer. Okay, so you don't get the actual forecast. So what you do, your sales and accounts team would develop the forecast according to their market analysis, according to their understanding of the products. Okay, so they have to do some research, some analysis here to develop the forecast, and the next steps are similar. S&OP process, demand planning, material free manufacturing, everything else is same. Okay, so when the manufacturing ships the product, the shipping, and the product does not go directly to the customer, right, as I told you. So based on the market need, based on the availability in the market, the product is shipped to multiple locations. Okay, and the consumer would buy it from there. So at the shipping point, the manufacturer might have some warehouses, might have some finished good location where they store the product, and then the product would flow into the supply chain when the product is needed in the market. Okay, some control point, process improvement, performance indicator, no difference, same thing. Needs to make sure it's working properly to strengthen your supply chain and addressing the problem that you are facing in your supply chain. Okay, making it more responsive. Okay, so that's all about end-to-end supply chain for retail. So if you have any concern, any question, any issues, Okay, so you can write your comments on my YouTube video. I will answer you as soon as possible. And in the future I would also provide my email address so that you can write your problem in detail directly to me, and then I will be responding to you guys. Okay, thank you so much for your watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.